Previously on Genesis 7. And now the continuation.
Why the fuck is she the only one without a fucking rank? I know I shouldn't be complaining about them being less stupid about her because she's a fucking kid, but continuity of idiocy, please! So the episode begins with an emergency. Magnets from the sun have fucked up part of the ship, so they're stuck and about to be destroyed by extra magnets from the sun. I'm probably misrepresenting what's going on, but that's what this show loves to do with science, so I don't feel bad. At least I'm just suffering from a numb brain thanks to watching this shit. These guys don't have that excuse. You know, Genesis 7, if you had just paid attention to what Sagan and his friends said about the sun, maybe your ship would have been designed to be able to handle shit close to the sun. Fuck, this scene is tense. Look at that mix of fear and anger. It's like they've gone to a moderately expensive restaurant and just found out that the 30% off deal ended yesterday.
Guys, it's a big one. Brace for impact.
Magnets attack! It's a little known fact that magnetism looks like a cross between fire and stage fog. And couldn't you even fall in roughly the same direction? Oh, fuck, I knew replacing the sprinkler system with sparklers would be a bad idea. At least it's pretty. And then it's a flashback to before the danger. I think I've worked out this show's thing, apart from being shit and bad at everything. We see the thrilling end of the episode and then spend 20 minutes getting there when they could have just played the next few minutes, showed us how they survived, and make the episodes 4 minutes long. Anyway, family banter. In space!
Did everyone sleep well?
I did as soon as I found my pillow, which was miraculously hanging from the ceiling in the kitchen.
How long did it take you to find it?
Oh, about 5 minutes.
Man, I was hoping it'd take at least 30.
It might have if you would come up with a different hiding place.
Bitch, he used all his creativity on inventing teleporters and X-ray shades.
So, where are we? We're approaching 3 million kilometers from the sun.
No you're not. The shot that was up less than a minute ago said you were 300,000 kilometers from the sun. I hope they travel the extra 2.7 million kilometers. Then we'll see if faith is better than ultra-strength suntan lotion. So the ship's magneto shields are badly affected by magnetism from the sun and are failing. My guess is they strapped Ian McKellen to the hull and forgot to feed him. And when you have something called magneto shields and they're badly affected by magnetism to the degree that they fail, you kind of need to rename them. Anyway, Danton, whose name sounds like a redneck leader of the French Revolution.
Bonjour, I want my liberty, fraternity, and a new spittoon. Y'all.
Anyway, Danton is masturbating. I hope.
Ride me like a dog.
Where we're going, we won't need eyes to see, only goggles made of sweet suffering.
Lieutenant Jennings, you just missed all of the fun.
I was told by Admiral Croft that even with the slight radiation exposure you all experienced with the shields operating at 89%, you all need to take the necessary precautions for radiation exposure. That means you'll need to drink plenty of grape juice.
What? What? Grape juice for possible radiation sickness? What? And you're supposed to be Christian scientists, you know, illness and disease and shit can only be cured by prayer. This is like a Jehovah's Witness sci-fi show suggesting a blood transfusion from a snail because it's gotta be as stupid as the grape idea. And yeah, I realize that grape juice can help with radiation, but it shouldn't be their only precaution. I mean, if they're messing around with the demon core, would you prescribe Schlur?
And if any of you start feeling the slightest bit ill, do not hesitate to take the antioxidant prescription provided in the med lab.
Oh, fuck off! Why do you have a med lab?
You can never be too careful.
Oh, what a show of faith that is. And oh, fuck, he started turning into the bad guy from Supernova. I'm semi-serious, he's just started going mad this episode.
Is he alright?
After a quick look at Shakari, the home of sci-fi debris, we get another biblical side road.
Hey Danton, on the fourth day God created the sun.
This is found in Genesis 1.
Without the sun, there'd be no fun.
No green grass or trees or flowers.
Dude, check the Bible. God created plants on day 3. So according to the Bible, plants don't need the sun to exist.
Sure.
But it still amazes me that people fall for this stuff.
It amazes you, Priscilla, because God has been merciful to you and has opened your eyes to make His truth plain to you. But we can't forget to have compassion on those who are still blind.
Even in a fictional universe where you're right, you sound like a fucking conspiracy theorist. We know the truth, unlike all those sheeple out there! www.genesis7.com! You know, I should be angry about the condescending arrogance and the industrial fucking levels of Dunning-Kruger going on here, but the worst thing is how unsubtle the whole thing is. It's like the worst sci-fi you've ever seen crossed with a school play with a chick tract nailed to it. If the sun isn't shiny God in a huge fucking chair, then I didn't get my money's worth.
Before we are saved, our nature only desires evil and does not desire God.
Exactly.
When I was saved, I wanted to be saved. If salvation is a good thing, then how is it that I desired to have it?
Because at that point, Priscilla, God had already opened your eyes and changed your desires.
So God does everything then?
Everything.
Wow, it is a miracle.
That means it's his fault when people aren't saved. So when people go to hell, it's through no fault of their own, and fuck you, God! Anyway, time for a different kind of stupid. Someone, probably dum-dum, invented a heat and radiation-proof probe.
This probe is designed to travel through the entire sun, giving us information about each layer, such as temperature readings, activity, density, and energy output.
They'd have more chance getting usable solar information by anal probing Sonny Bono's corpse. And he doesn't have an anus anymore. And I hate to bring this up again, but Sagan and his friends from the before time already worked out what was inside the interior of the sun. And they did not need an impossible fucking probe to do it. This show's idea of science just plays crap catch-up with real-world science. Sure, it does it much more dramatically, like sending a probe through the center of the sun is more impressive than working shit out from Earth, but it's like this is a school test. Real science sits down and uses what it knows and has to work out what is likely the right answer. It works quietly and methodically, checking its answers many times before moving on to the next question. This show's idea of science repels into the exam hall dressed like a luchador, pisses on the walls, plays Christian rock really fucking loudly, and steals real science's answers. On everything except the age of the universe and evolution. And then finally claims to have aced the test before falling over covered in their own vomit. While real science is already accepting a scholarship to MIT.
Mom would have loved to have been on this mission. Studying the sun was her passion, you know?
I know. She always wanted to study the sun up close.
I love how the ADR sounds like it was done underwater. That shows that it was done with love.
I hate that she can't be here to see its first trip out.
I'm sure she wouldn't wish to be here with us if given the option after being in such a glorious place with Christ.
Yeah, you have a good point.
They launched the probe, and is it just me or does the sun look like it was built from Lady Gaga's discarded blonde wigs? Hey, if you can build a probe that can fly all the way through the center of the sun, then why didn't you build your ship out of whatever the probe is made of? Maybe you wouldn't have had the whole magnetism problem. I mean, the evil magnetism was coming from the sun. So logically, it'd be stronger closer to the sun. Anyway, it's time to tease Drain Train for being unusually logical.
Well, I don't know about you, but getting smacked by a ball of energy traveling at 800 miles per second doesn't sound like a lot of fun to me.
Ah, Danton, where's your sense of adventure?
It's with his urge to try and rape a tiger, buried deep, deep down in his subconscious. Anyway, this is set around the year 2082, and I bet your life is totally enriched for knowing that.
You know, there have been a few really strong coronal mass ejections in recent history. One about 93 years ago caused a blackout in eastern Canada.
Anyway, the minutes of random, stilted conversation eventually gets too much for the captain, and he somehow has an emotion.
Yeah, the whole lab smelled really bad, but I couldn't resist opening that vial of Who Me.
You didn't.
Yes.
You did?
I bet an editor was fired for missing that. Their remit was clearly to have no recognizable fucking human emotions. So the probe is not only stronger than the ship, but faster too, because it's already made it through the fucking core. The Suns finally had enough of their shit and we're back at the start of the episode. I mean, listen. They brought out the string section of peril. And,
Symbolism!
Charge the lightning field. I take personal responsibility.
Captain, the main panel is on fire.
Shut it off, quick!
Holy shit, that explosion's so powerful they're being sucked towards it.
And that's preposterous!
Is everyone okay?
What happened?
We're gonna need a first aid kit.
Yes, no doubt filled to the brim with first aid prayer books. So they're now without power and rightfully concerned that they have no defense against the sun and its gravitational pull. But weirdly, they're not worried about the soon-to-be lack of air. Okay, emergency power is a thing, but why is it being wasted on artificial gravity? I'd complain about the lack of a medic, but Christian Science, unless I misread stuff and it's actually just Christian science fiction, in which case I look stupid, but I get to complain that there's no fucking medic on board. Anyway, the future, where the woman's only job is to play nursemaid or to worry about the menfolk.
Sis, you need to make this quick. I gotta get back to the engineering.
You're not going anywhere until I get these wounds cleaned and bandaged. Now sit still.
Oh, thank goodness. You got dangerously close. I was beginning to think the worst had happened.
Anyway, time for a break from the usual crap with some totally different crap. Anti-climate change shaped crap.
I remember in history class that there was a movement around the turn of the century where people said they thought the Earth was warming because of fossil fuels.
I bet if they were here right now, they would understand very well what heats the Earth.
Imagine the Star Trek The Next Generation episode Disaster where the ship is fucked and Picard has to lead a bunch of kids to safety. And then this happens! I will save you children, fear not! Just remember that faggots are fucking disgusting. There's a reason they don't appear in Star Trek. We exterminated them! Now let's sing again. Frere Jacques, etc., etc. Now, I realize that's a silly comparison because Picard would never use the words Star Trek, but it gives you an idea of how fucking jarring it is when these conversations just happen. Anyway, back with the action, the captain uses his phone to try and repair the damage.
This whole bank of circuits is dead.
They have mere hours until the episode ends, or rather, that's how it feels. Hours until they crash into the sun. I'm not sure why they're still alive, because hot and their systems are fucked. Anyway, Boomtown is sure that the ship was sabotaged. Dramatic chord. And that's how it ends, a cliffhanger, and Priscilla giving the menfolk water, because in the far future, on the edge of the sun, on the brink of disaster, the most important thing is traditional gender roles. And a woman's role is to be fucking useless.
You found a problem yet?
Not yet, but we've eliminated a few possibilities.
Like the possibility of getting this thing fixed before we are fried in the sun.
With God, all things are possible.
Look at the captain, even he knows how fucking stupid that line was. There's a rational person in there, screaming to get out. This was just as bad as episode 1, and I'm not expecting them to get any better, but it would be nice. And I'm fast running out of funny nicknames for Daunton. Please, help me. Help me. Okay. That was Genesis 7, and I am so sorry.